In the ancient deserts of Egypt, death was never seen as the end of existence. It was only the beginning of a journey through darkness, mystery, and judgment. The Egyptians believed that after the final breath left the body, the soul would travel into a hidden realm beyond the world of the living. But no soul could pass freely into eternity. Every soul would face a test, a judgment that determined whether it deserved eternal peace or complete destruction. Waiting in the shadows of this realm stood a silent figure, a god with the head of a jackal and the body of a man. His name was Anubis, and for thousands of years he was believed to be the guardian of the dead and the judge of every human soul. Among the countless gods of ancient Egypt, Anubis held one of the most mysterious and powerful roles. He was instantly recognizable by his appearance, a tall, slender figure with the black head of a jackal. His eyes were often depicted glowing with an otherworldly awareness, watching over the realm between life and death. The jackal form was not chosen by accident. In ancient Egypt, jackals were often seen wandering the deserts near burial grounds. To the Egyptians, these animals seemed connected to the world of the dead. By giving their god the head of a jackal, they transformed a scavenger of graves into a divine protector of them. Anubis became the guardian of cemeteries, tombs, and the sacred rituals that prepared the dead for the afterlife. To the living, he was both feared and respected. He was not cruel or malicious, but he was fair, silent, and unmovable. His duty was to guide souls into the next world and ensure that justice was done. For the ancient Egyptians, Anubis was not simply a god of death. He was the god who ensured that death had meaning and order. Like many figures in Egyptian mythology, the origins of Anubis are surrounded by several different stories. In some traditions, he was believed to be the son of Osiris, the powerful ruler of the underworld. In others, he was the son of Osiris's brother Set and the goddess Nephthys. One of the most famous legends connects Anubis directly to one of the most dramatic stories in Egyptian myth, the story of the murder of Osiris. According to the legend, Osiris was once the great king of Egypt, ruling with wisdom and justice. But his jealous brother Set betrayed him. Set murdered Osiris and scattered his body across the land. The goddess Isis, wife of Osiris, searched across Egypt to recover the pieces of her husband's body. When they were finally found, it was Anubis who performed the sacred rituals that restored Osiris and prepared him for the afterlife. In this moment, Anubis became the first embalmer in Egyptian myth. He preserved the body of Osiris, wrapping it carefully and protecting it from decay. Because of this act, Osiris became the ruler of the underworld, and Anubis became the divine guardian of the dead. For the ancient Egyptians, preserving the body after death was essential. They believed that the soul needed a recognizable body in order to exist in the afterlife. Without preservation, the soul could be lost forever. This belief gave rise to the practice of mummification, one of the most famous rituals of ancient Egypt. During these rituals, priests carefully removed organs, treated the body with special oils, and wrapped it in long strips of linen. The process could take many weeks and required deep religious knowledge. Anubis was believed to watch over every step. Priests who performed the ritual often wore masks shaped like the head of a jackal. By doing this, they symbolically became the servants of Anubis, carrying out his sacred work. The god's role was not only to protect the body, but to guide the spirit of the deceased safely toward the realm of judgment. Without the protection of Anubis, the soul might wander the darkness forever. The most famous role of Anubis took place during the final judgment of the soul. This ritual was known as the weighing of the heart, and it was believed to determine the eternal fate of every human being. After death, the soul was brought into a great hall within the underworld. This place was sometimes called the Hall of Truth. At the center of the chamber stood a massive golden scale. On one side of the scale, Anubis placed the heart of the deceased. The heart was believed to contain the memory of every action, every lie, every kindness, and every sin the person had committed in life. On the other side of the scale rested a single feather. This was the feather of the goddess Ma'at, the symbol of truth, justice, and cosmic balance. Anubis carefully watched the scale as it balanced the heart against the feather. If the heart was lighter than the feather, it meant the soul had lived with honesty and harmony. The person had respected the laws of Ma'at and lived a life worthy of eternity. But if the heart was heavier than the feather, it meant the soul was burdened with wrongdoing. And in that moment, a terrifying creature would step forward. Her name was Ammit. Ammit was one of the most feared beings in Egyptian mythology. Her body was a horrifying combination of three of Egypt's most dangerous animals: the crocodile, the lion, and the hippopotamus. If the heart failed the test, Ammit would devour it instantly. For the Egyptians, this was worse than death. It meant the complete destruction of the soul, leaving nothing behind. No afterlife, no memory, only oblivion. If the heart passed the test, the soul was allowed to continue its journey. At this moment, Anubis would lead the spirit deeper into the realm of the dead, toward the throne of Osiris. Osiris sat as the king of the underworld, surrounded by divine judges and spirits. Here, the soul was welcomed into the eternal lands, sometimes called the Field of Reeds. This paradise resembled a perfect version of Egypt itself. Green fields stretched across the horizon. Rivers flowed calmly through fertile land. The dead could live peacefully forever, free from hunger, sickness, or suffering. But none of this was possible without the judgment overseen by Anubis. He was the guardian who ensured that only worthy souls entered eternity. To the ancient Egyptians, Anubis represented something deeper than death itself. He represented balance, protection, and justice. Death, in their eyes, was not chaotic or random. It was part of a greater order within the universe. Anubis stood at the center of that order, making sure that every life was measured fairly. Because of this role, people prayed to Anubis for protection of their tombs and safe passage into the afterlife. Statues of the jackal-headed god were often placed near burial chambers. His presence symbolized safety, guarding the body from thieves, decay, and dark spirits. Even today, thousands of years later, the image of Anubis remains one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt. In the end, Anubis was more than a mythological figure. He was the silent judge standing at the boundary between life and eternity. For the people of ancient Egypt, every action in life mattered, because one day their hearts would be placed upon the scale. A single feather would decide their fate, and Anubis would be there, watching in silence, ensuring that balance was preserved. In a world filled with gods, monsters, and legends, few figures carried such quiet authority. For when the final breath faded and the darkness of death arrived, every soul would walk the same path. A path into the underworld, a path toward judgment. And at the end of that path waited Anubis.